He was known as the unluckiest man in the world because the moment he got off the plane, he received devastating news. His country had just been destroyed. The international community no longer recognized its existence. That meant his visa was invalid, his currency was worthless, and his return flight was cancelled. But the worst part? He didn't speak a word of English, so he had no idea what was going on. The airport supervisor tried to explain the situation with a bag of potato chips.
So the potato chips are Krakozhia. No more Krakozhia.
Turns out, a coup had taken place in Viktor's home country just the night before, until the new government was officially recognized. He technically didn't belong anywhere, and just like that, Viktor was trapped inside the airport. He couldn't go home, and he wasn't allowed to enter the United States either. With no money, no legal status, and nowhere to go, he slept on chairs pushed together to make a bed, ate free snacks from airport counters, and even found a place to shower. Then one day, the airport supervisor Frank saw something strange on security footage. Viktor was walking through the terminal in a bathrobe. Frank was furious. He was in the middle of applying for a major promotion, and the last thing he needed was a homeless man in a bathrobe ruining the airport's image. So he offered Viktor a way out. At noon today, Frank said, "The security guards switch shifts for 5 minutes. No one will be at the main door. That's your chance to walk out." What he didn't say was that if Viktor stepped outside, he'd be arrested for illegal entry, and Frank could wash his hands of the problem. Viktor didn't fully understand, but he got the idea. At noon, Frank watched from the surveillance room. The guards left. Everything was in place, but Viktor didn't move. He stood frozen at the exit. Then Frank noticed Viktor was looking straight at the security camera, so Frank turned it away. Too late. Viktor had already ducked out of frame, and when Frank tried to turn the camera back to check, Viktor popped his face right into the lens.
I wait.
Clearly, this plan wasn't going to work, but free snacks alone weren't enough to keep him going. He was starving. Then he noticed a woman return a luggage cart and get a quarter back in return. That's when Viktor saw his opportunity. Most travelers didn't care about the 25-cent deposit, so they just left the carts behind. He gathered 3, returned them, and earned his first 75 cents. That bought him his first real meal in days, a hamburger. Soon, he was returning dozens of carts, upgrading from burgers to full combo meals. But Frank had been watching, and he wasn't going to let Viktor turn his airport into a side hustle. So he assigned security staff to collect all the carts. Viktor's cart retrieving business was over. Back to free snacks. Still, he didn't give up. He bought a dictionary and some books, and studied English every night with a headlamp. Day by day, word by word, he learned enough to start real conversations. When he felt ready, he went to Officer Dolores to apply for entry. She couldn't understand why he was bothering, but Viktor smiled and said,
You have 2 stamps. 1 red, 1 green. So, I have chance go New York 50-50.
What he meant was, as long as he kept trying, he had a shot. Frank, meanwhile, was still keeping tabs on him. He figured Viktor would eventually get desperate and do something illegal. Then he'd finally have a reason to get rid of him. But that night, something unexpected happened. A food delivery guy named Enrique brought Viktor dinner. Why? Because Enrique had a crush on Officer Dolores, but was too shy to talk to her. He saw Viktor chatting with her every day and came up with a deal. "You help me win her heart, and you'll never go hungry again." Viktor agreed. From then on, he talked to Dolores daily, not to apply for entry, but to find out everything she liked. Then he'd report back to Enrique, who rewarded him with meals from the VIP lounge. It worked out perfectly for both of them. During this time, Viktor's English improved even more. He was finally fluent. Thanks to Viktor's help, Enrique learned everything about Dolores, and Dolores started noticing Enrique too. Eventually, he worked up the courage to ask her out. He showed up in his best suit, nervous but hopeful, and when Dolores arrived, she held out her hand, showing she felt the same. They got married right there at the airport. It was simple, but unforgettable. Travelers clapped. Strangers cheered. That little wedding car became a symbol of love and hope for everyone who saw it. Watching it all, Viktor realized he couldn't rely on Enrique forever. He needed a job, but no store in the airport would hire him. No ID, no phone number, nothing. At the last shop, the manager told him, "Even if I wanted to hire you, how would I reach you without a phone number?" Viktor took that as hope. He ran outside, memorized the number of a public phone, and gave it to the manager. The guy pretended he'd call. Viktor waited all night. No food, no bathroom breaks. He just stood there, waiting. Eventually, the phone rang. The manager told him the job was already filled and asked him not to sit outside the shop anymore. Heartbroken, Viktor wandered through the terminal, passing a crumbling wall. It was so poorly built, it cracked when touched. As an architect, he couldn't stand the sight, so he started repairing it himself. It had been years, but muscle memory kicked in. By morning, the wall looked brand new, and just then, a construction crew walked by. The foreman was amazed. He offered Viktor a job on the spot at $19 an hour, but now there were only 3 days left before Frank's big inspection. A top-level official was coming, and Frank couldn't risk them seeing Viktor. He made up a reason and locked him in a room, then ordered security to keep the airport spotless. But something went wrong, and only Viktor could fix it. What happened next would change his life forever. Want to know how it ends? Follow me. The rest of the story is coming soon.